Many people have knee injuries or some sort of issues with the knees. Maybe you don't have weak knees. Maybe you're just training the knees incorrectly, or the surrounding joints and limbs and fascia and muscles just aren't being articulated properly, which is torquing the knee out of alignment, causing that pain. So before we create any strength, we need to address the cause. And what's the cause? It's the connective tissue that's gripped and adhered to pull and yank that knee joint out of alignment, which will also mean your hip and your ankles will be out of alignment to an extent as well. The result is just the knee. So what I'm going to show you is how to decompress your connective tissue around the knee joint, but it'll also affect the ankle and it'll affect the hip joint. Let's jump right into the fascia decompression technique. This is block therapy. You can use a rolled up towel just like this. Remember to roll it up nice and tight, because the more dense, the more effective it will be. Or of course, if you have a block with block therapy, use this. So let's jump into the first position. This fascia decompression routine that we're gonna start on one knee at a time, is gonna make your knee joints feel absolutely amazing. You'll also feel the effects in your ankle, your feet, but also in your hips. So let's start off by doing the lower quad position. It will look just like this. So let's have the block flat on the floor or the towel, either one, and then nice and slow, bring your right quad directly over top of the block, but just above the knee like this. Now bend your opposite leg, your left leg to its side like this, and we'll come into a bit of a plank. Now if you fatigue, of course you can come flat to the floor, and I'm gonna let you kind of gauge the upper body on what feels the best. So as you inhale, expand your belly in towards the floor or in that direction. And then as you exhale through the nose, make sure you're making that belly nice and small. We want to be able to breathe diaphragmatically through all block therapy positions and as long as you possibly can throughout daily life. But now we want to start finding and searching for pain. And you're probably feeling pain and sensations already. That's a good thing, because where there's pain is where there's restrictions and adhesions. So let's say I'm just isometrically staying in this position and I feel pain. Connect to the breath. Notice as you spend time here that the pressure fibers are gonna actually overtake the pain fibers, and you'll start to feel that sensation dissipate. So then what we can do is slowly bend that right knee like this, and that might surface more pain, maybe there's less pain, and then we're gonna slowly start searching. But we don't wanna be rocking fast or doing anything fast like a foam roller or movement. We need to stay relaxed and actually allow the tissue to melt and to release. And that's what will help bring the connective tissue and the cells into the correct alignment. Whenever you're finding or you feel a lot of pain, stop and hang out there. If it's ever too intense, ease off slightly, reconnect at a less intensity, and maintain that breath. If you're not feeling enough pain, then let's crank it up a bit and start searching for more. So we want to spend a minimum of 3 minutes here. 3 to 5 minutes is ideal. If you can spend longer, by all means, you're in control of this practice and with this process. So once you spent the 3 minutes, hands on your shoulders and exhale up and off. And let's jump into the next position. Next, we're moving to the IT band, which is the outer portion of the thigh. This is a thick band of connective tissue that runs from the hip just past the knee joint. So if this is very tight, it can be yanking that knee and the hip out of alignment. So we're just gonna have the block or the towel positioned about midway. Of course, you can work a little bit higher or a little bit lower, and I recommend doing that on your own time. I'm gonna show you probably the easiest variation of doing this. So bring your right hip, we're still on that right leg, to the floor. Have the block or the towel flat like this, and we're gonna use this edge to dig into the IT band. And this will be definitely more painful than the quad for majority of you. So now, as we apply that pressure in, let's slowly bring that right leg on top. If it's too intense, bring that left leg off of the right, and we'll just stay and hang out here. As the pain's building up, just connect to that breath. And then all we're gonna do is search for more pain if you feel that you can, and if that will benefit you. So right here, I just found a new area of pain. I'm gonna hang out here, connect to that breath. Understand that pain is just a language our body is letting us know this area needs something. There's too much compression in this area. Just like getting a massage, when you feel that tight knot, you know that's a good pain. This is that hurt so good pain, but it's very powerful. When we isometrically stay in a position, it's extremely more effective at releasing than just brushing over it like this. So you can create little movements with that right knee. Again, that's even moving fast. Like I would move very, very slow, and you might start to feel some releases, and that's amazing. Once the 3 minutes is up, exhale, up and off, and let's jump into our next position. Next position, we're gonna be staying on our right side. We're gonna be working on the lateral calf. So similar to the IT band, this area gets extremely compressed and tight, especially because this is our lower limb and it's the furthest away from our engine, which is our heart and our diaphragm. So it doesn't get that much blood and oxygen flow here, and it can build up a ton of tension, especially right in this area. So let's position the block or the rolled up towel there. I'm gonna have it on the side for me. You can absolutely have it flat, and very similar to the IT band position, keeping the hip on the floor, bring the right leg over top of the block. Now you will likely be able to bring that left leg over top and just connect to your breath. Always the first thing you're doing when you're doing block therapy is connecting to the breath and just feeling, what is the sensation right now? Is it really painful? Is there not that much pain? And as you just settle in here for about 30 seconds, you might start to feel more pain, or maybe you'll start to feel less pain. We're all unique on how our tissue grips and holds and the density within our tissue. So I'm starting to feel a little bit more pain as I settle in, and I'm just gonna start making very slow movements. And then once I find an area, which I did right here, let's just connect to that breath. You can put your hand over your belly and breathe. So as you inhale, your belly and your lower rib cage should be expanding like this. As you exhale, make the belly small and the rib cage smaller as well. And now if you want, you can create some movements with your ankle joint. You're gonna notice that that's directly connected up here. And small movements, don't move it too fast. I know you're moving it too fast, slower. And then just hang out and explore. Once the 3 minutes as a minimum is up, nice and slow, let's exhale up and off. Next position, we're doing a double whammy. We're gonna be doing the calf and the hamstring at the same time. You'll likely feel much more pain and sensation in the calf. I prefer using our smaller block. This is the block baby over the block buddy for this position. It's really dependent on what material I'm using. If I'm wearing shorts, it's definitely more grippy and I can use the block buddy. But all I'm gonna do is just grab the smaller block or grab your rolled up towel, whatever works. Bring it nice and high up into this area. Make sure your foot is aligned. Try not to have it torqued in like that because it very likely is. Now that you have it aligned, hold your tool there and nice and slow, let's start to build that pressure up. This will also be painful. You can probably sense that a lot of these positions are painful, especially if you have knee pain or issues with your hips and your ankles or your feet. So you'll probably just need to do this. Connect to that breath. As you inhale, expand the belly. As you exhale, make the belly nice and small. Then you can slowly start to apply a little bit of pressure and move to the right. Once you spent some time here, then you can move on over to the left. Now, of course, you can move this down a little bit lower if you'd like after that 3 minutes as a minimum, and you can even work to the Achilles. That I'm gonna leave up to you. When you're ready, exhale up and off, and then repeat that on the other side. Now you're probably doing some simple math in your head. We just did 4 positions, 4 times 3, 12. It'll probably maybe be around 15 minutes as a minimum per leg, so a 30-minute routine. Well, guess what? All these corrective exercises that you may be trying to do, you're gonna have to do them for such a long time to get any results, where you could do this a couple times and you might start feeling crazy fast changes. Fascia decompression is no joke. It works extremely powerfully and very quick. That's why I'm trying to showcase all this to you guys for free. So once we've done this, then yes, absolutely, you can start doing some strengthening exercises. But before we do that, let's just understand our posture with our lower body and how we should have certain joints lined up over the other so that we can perform squats, lunges, as we're running, walking even correctly. So let's jump into it. Now that we've released a lot of this connective tissue in both of the legs, how should we be positioning ourselves when we're doing squats, lunges, or any movements really? So a lot of us are lazy and unconscious of how we're standing and how we're performing things. One of the biggest things I could tell you right now is if you're standing for long periods of time, don't hyperextend the knees. That's one of the worst things that you can do, because now you're not actually activating the tendons, the ligaments, and the muscles to support the knee joint. You're just kind of resting them more so on that bone-on-bone action. So always maintain a slight bend in your knees. That's probably the biggest takeaway you could take from the posture. But now when we're getting into squats, sure, when we're standing as well, and don't worry, I'm not gonna bring you through a full squat routine right now, we have to focus on what's our base foundation, our feet. So make sure that we can spread the toes well, grip onto the floor, and I'm not putting more weight intentionally on the lateral portion of my foot and doing this, but I'm just gripping in this direction, so I'm actually activating my feet. Have about 60% of your body weight on your heels, and then make sure that your knee is over your toes as you squat. So many of us come in like this, and this is just an absolute nightmare for your knees, your feet, and your hips. See how it's all connected? This is so important. So as you're gripping, pull and torque the knees out a little bit. So when you're performing a squat, the knees are more so over the toes like that. Very similar with the lunge. It's not that complicated. So everybody says, don't have your knees over the toes, go like this. Well, maybe for some people, but for me, I do it all the time, and I create a lot of strength in the knees. I also do exercises where I'll put plates under my heels to intentionally put more weight forward, to put more pressure onto the knee joint, the tendons, and the ligaments, because I'm doing it consciously. I've released the connective tissue, now I'm intentionally creating strength in the knee joints. So that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that you can do. Make sure you're gripping, you're never hyperextending your knees, the knees are over the toes, and you're kind of cranking the feet out in this alignment when you're performing a squat or even a lunge. When it comes to creating strength in the knees, we need to also create strength in surrounding muscles and areas. One of the areas that gets extremely weak is the anterior tibialis muscle right here. And for some people, it might feel really tight, but that's not because it's overworked, it's probably because it's dormant and a lot of connective tissue has rolled over and compressed. So let's start creating strength in this area. Find a wall, lean up against it. You can wear shoes or you can do this barefoot. Get yourself a Greg, a nice skeleton here. This is our skeleton Greg, and I haven't really used him yet, but I will. And all we're gonna do is start lifting the feet up like this. And you're gonna start feeling a lot of tension build up into this area. We're trying to work out the anterior tibialis muscle. So what you can do is perform 20, 25, even 30 repetitions just like this. Don't have to rush it quick like that. Do them nice and slow and follow your breath as your guide. Once you've done that, try to do 3 sets of about 20 to 30 repetitions, and you'll definitely feel a bit of a burn, but that's really good. That's probably because this area has not been worked out in a very long time. Almost all exercises that you're gonna be focusing on with your lower body, either at the gym or at home or the sports that you're doing, are starting to strengthen the knee joint. So doing squats, lunges, are gonna be extremely beneficial, but what else can you do, or something that you can do at home? So a lot of the time, we're doing something where we're forward. So if you can do sled pulls, those are amazing. I do that before every workout. If you can start even walking backwards on a treadmill, that's also amazing. But something that you can do right now, if you don't have access to that, is start doing a reverse lunge. So rather than me doing a lunge this way and then stepping forwards, we're gonna do the opposite, where we're actually stepping backwards. And this is gonna be strengthening, we're gonna start strengthening the knee joint in a little bit of a different alignment and start creating a different pressure into the knee. And that's gonna also strengthen different tendons, ligaments, and surrounding muscles. Coming up into a squat, make sure that knee is over the toes. Try to do about the second toe. Grip onto the floor with your feet, create that natural arch in the foot, and then exhale and come on back. And if that's too painful for you to do right now, don't do it yet. Keep doing the fascia decompression techniques and then do these other ones, or start just walking backwards. That's gonna be amazing. But eventually you'll build up to doing these, no problem. Sure, if you wanna add weight to it, go ahead. But try to do 10 to 15 repetitions per each side. You can definitely alternate if you would like. And this is gonna be amazing for your knees. Keep them healthy, keep them strong, so that you can perform your exercises, daily life, your sports without that knee pain. That wraps up this routine that you can follow. So this is a breakdown, and yes, you can do this daily or whenever you feel is necessary for you. So we start off by focusing on one leg. We do that quad position just above the knee, spend 3 to 5 minutes there. Then we move to the IT band approximately in the middle. Sure, you can have it a little bit higher or lower, spend 3 to 5 minutes there. Then we move to the lateral portion of the calf, spend 3 to 5 minutes there, and then we do that seated calf position that targets the calf and the hamstrings at the same time, spend 3 to 5 minutes there. Repeat that on the other side. That's probably the biggest thing that you can do to help your knees right now. Then what we want to do is integrate proper posture. So we talked about that. So throughout the entire day when you're seated or standing, performing exercises, bring this into your awareness. Do not hyperextend the knees. That's the biggest thing that I could give you when it comes to posture. Then we move on to the exercises and we focus on the anterior tibialis muscle. And by doing this, we do those foot raises, do about 20 to 30 repetitions and 3 sets of those. Then we're gonna move on to those reverse lunges. Do 10 to 15 repetitions on each leg and 3 sets on each leg as well. Again, adding in a sled pull or walking backwards is gonna be extremely beneficial. And if you found this video helpful and you've actually done this routine, please let me know in the comments below how this has helped your knees out, even your hips and your ankles, because again, we are fully connected. So if you've enjoyed it, give this video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.